I wrote some notes. I did my homework. I'm trying to be more prepared for this stuff. So I wanted to talk about the do's and the don'ts of using the dojo. The dojo, you know what I'm saying? So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is like pretty much people hit a wall or they hit plateaus in their gaming experience, right? They don't really know what they're supposed to be doing in the dojo as a beginner or an intermediate level player to try and bring their game to the next level. So the thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was trying to improve the way that you use training mode. And I actually picked the wrong character, so bear with me. So the one thing that I would like to say first is like, don't obsess in the training mode. Exactly. That's what I was right about to bring up. Is like, there's times and a place for trying to like sit there and perfect an optimized combo. And like, it's good if you already have a lot of the other fundamentals of your game plan down. So like, let's say like you have a counter hit starter and you want to practice a certain combo after that counter hit, right? It's good to know your optimal combos. But like, the reality is, until you get to a certain level of gameplay that's like almost nearing the pro level, all of these zany like this is one big combo, for example, and I don't even think I can execute it very well yet. Yeah, I'm gonna drop it like a million times. There we go. Right? Something like that is super hard. And the reason it's super hard is because I'm doing a fast RC after Bandit Bringer counter hit 6S into a Kara Bandit Revolver into 5k, and I can extend the combo if I get lucky on doing Karas. But like, stuff like that is kind of wild, right? To try and do if you're just trying to learn your character's basics, right? Because I could do something like this, and like, while it's not as much damage, right? 12 less damage. I got wall break, I got positive meter. The combo with the other stuff can do up to 280 or so on somebody like Anji. But that other combo I just did was way easier. I did it on the first try, right? So, but what you should do is practice B&Bs. You should warm up your frame traps. So like, if you have a really simple combo, just going into training mode and doing this a few times is perfectly fine. There's a way to get that to wall break, I just didn't do it. Going in and practicing what I did the first time is a surefire way to go into a real match and then just drop all your combos anyways and then not have the fundamentals back it up. The second don't that I wanted to get into was practicing fake scenarios. So like, there's certain times where like combo confirms or hit confirms can be like really fake. Like, technically, if you're OD as fuck, right, like, you can get a counter hit into a tiger knee and get crazy damage and do something silly like this, right? The realistic portion of the game is that if you're running up to do a close slash counter hit on wake up or something like that and you actually get this hit, your first thought probably isn't, oh shit, did I hit this? Like, do I go into a tiger knee right now? Because if you do and they blocked it, then sometimes you're probably going to accidentally do this and they're going to block it and you're going to be dead. So like, it's kind of a fake scenario in that sense to sit here and grind out some crazy hit confirm. I can't believe I did it the first time. I did it again right there. Like, do some crazy hit confirm like this, because the reality is if you're hitting this counter hit, you're probably going into like this instead, or into like, if you notice it, you can get a micro dash. But like, instead of trying to do some zany thing, you can get pretty decent damage off of normal confirms, right? That give you more time to react to whether or not the move hit or didn't hit. So like, instead of doing that, again, practicing B&Bs is super important. Practicing common routes is super important rather than trying to practice a specific, very, very hard to do string. And eventually you'll pick up combo pieces and learn how to go around doing weirder combos off of random hits. The other don't is practicing blindly. This is the biggest one in my opinion. The biggest thing that you could do in Strive is practice blindly, and that will set you up for failure in the future. And the reason that sets you up for failure is because just hopping into practice mode to do a random combo and then going online, right? You're gonna find people who know something you don't, and you're just going to keep trying the same thing against them. In order to not practice blindly, you take an example that you see in a real match, right? One of the biggest examples being Anji's mix, right? So we can set up this thing called recording, and there's 5 slots, right? Super convenient. Not only that, you don't have to practice just one slot at a time. You can actually practice it on random. That way, it does random string each time it does it. So using this, right, we can set the favorability of certain replays to be more or less often. Typically I do this to just like all even. The way you still don't know how to make the other characters do strings. So part of that is what I'm talking about. Like, you can make the character do strings. It's set up with this button settings. So the record and play buttons. So as long as you've seen something in a real match, right? Like if somebody does something to you, for example, Anji's spin, the way that you can get better in this matchup is once you've seen the way that people will set it up, right, on a block string, you can practice specific strings. So you can practice all of his different mix-up options. You can go, slot 1 is going to be my recording for a punch follow-up. Slot 2 is going to be for my slash follow-up. Slot 3 is going to be for the heavy slash follow-up. And then slot 4 is going to be for my kick follow-up, right? And then now that I have all 4 of those set up, I can go to training mode, recording settings, make sure that all of my random replay slots are set. So we only use 4 slots, so we're going to disable slot 5. Then we're going to come up to recording slots and set it to random. Once we've set up this training mode bot to do these 4 strings, right, that we've seen normal people do, you can have the bot do these 4 strings on random, right? And practice just reacting to it. And at first, you know, you might just want to block. You'll just sit here and hang out blocking it, right? Making sure that you can do this. And then once you've gotten used to that, try reacting to the button with an option. And sometimes you're going to get counter hit. That's okay, right? Nagiha is the one that beats everything else. But once you've set up the bot to do these common scenarios, just like S Technics is saying in the chat, you can have the bot do these common strings. And once the bot's doing these common strings over and over again, you can learn to build your tool set to react to those options and scenarios that you'll see in matches. Once you've done this and you build up your reaction speed and your familiarity with a common scenario, you can learn to answer it better and better with better strings. So let's say you want to block the overhead and punish it. Once you familiarize yourself with blocking this thing, you can actually start to create a canned answer to what to do when you see it. And depending on your familiarity with the situation and what you lab, that answer can be more or less complicated. But like sometimes something like this is simple enough to make people almost stop doing that option completely, right? Doing 170 damage, putting him in the corner and having Oki could be enough to make this Anji stop trying to do overhead at all without meter, right? Because they don't want to get hit. What if your options are bad or metered? How would you train for the mix in those cases? If you are a character who doesn't have super good ability to just like a barre out or to do something safe and get out, it's not always about trying to bombo the opponent, right? Like BKS doesn't have a reversal, no reversal supers, no anything, right? Sometimes the more important thing, if I can find Angie, sometimes the more important thing isn't trying to find some kind of bombo. The more important thing is just trying to set up a favorable situation. So like, let's say like you just want to get out, right? Let's try dash forward. Doesn't work, right? That's okay. Jeez, block. So we want to figure out a way to react to this. That's pretty reactable, right? Like just jumping is like fairly reactable. And now that we've discovered that jumping's pretty easy to do on site, right? We can change the recording settings to random, or rather go to slot 2, and we'll see that other option, which is the low, which is we have to block, right? That's just what you have to do to that. The next one's gonna be slot 3, the overhead, right? Again, just blocking. So all you do is block, it's chill. We can react to that, right? And then lastly, slot 4 is gonna be that, typically followed up with a throw. So instead of that, right, we also can react to that with jump too. You don't have to do anything. You're just trying to frustrate your opponent and get out. And once you've built this, once you've built these options, we see all of these, right? We can start thinking of answers. So slot 1, right? The projectile. We know we can jump, so what can we do after jump? We can attack, right? We can jump and attack on reaction. Then next, slot 2 is the low, so we just chill and block, and then we take our turn. Damn, I discovered something there. You can punish. You can actually just wait and get a punish. Kind of nuts, right? So just blocking the mix sometimes is good enough. Slot 3, the overhead, we block, we take our turn back. And then slot 4, we jump, we take our turn back. We've discovered that we can reduce our risk to either jumping or just staying and blocking based on what we see, right? So we've reduced our mental stack and we've discovered multiple options to get out. And you know, this gets more complicated as people add resets and other things like that, but on a fundamental level, again, building this fundamental tool set and training mode to just try and build a reaction-based gameplay to all of these options is super important. And another thing that's really good is that just blocking and just figuring out what your opponent does isn't a bad answer, right? Like, it's okay to just block a string or a mix. The more that you block it and push them out with FD or another defensive option, the more resources they're gonna have to expend and the riskier they're gonna have to play to try to open you up. So that's kind of the big thing that I wanted to talk about. Is I feel like a lot of people don't know how to set up these scenarios in record mode and kind of learn how to suss out the right answers to things. Anji's a brilliant example in my opinion because all of his mix-up options are super straightforward. They're easy to go to the lab and set up, and they teach you what you should be looking for while trying to learn the game. As always, you know, like and subscribe if you like the content. I'll be posting this on YouTube, and I stream most days on twitch.tv/the_symbolist. So if you like the content, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you follow me on YouTube, I have sick emotes now so that you can subscribe and get that stuff too. Gonna wrap it up. Does anybody want to play some more games?